logging some extra data during this session. Nothing you need to worry about, but as we have some new parts, we'll just confirm they're performing to spec.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2019 Career Mode Season 2 for the Japanese Grand Prix. And in this episode, I do believe we can clinch the Constructors Championship. So looking forward to the opportunity of doing that if we have a solid race, along with Charles Leclerc, obviously, our teammate. But we have a bunch of upgrades on the car, and if you look at the R&D chart, we are absolutely dominating with upgrades in all three areas, all three performance areas, I should say, of the car. So they will really help us out around Suzuka. It's never been a super strong track for me, but a track I very much enjoy nonetheless. But I think this is a race where Charles Leclerc may get a few points over us, but we'll have to see. But anyway, we'll get into qualifying and see how the weekend unfolds from there.
Welcome to the only figure-of-8 track on the F1 calendar. We're here at Suzuka for qualifying today ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though, it's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
So we move on to the end of Q1. You can see we get through in first Sebastian Vettel second, Charles Leclerc third. So a decent first outing, but the Ferrari is looking strong in second and fourth. Lance Stroll, a decent performance given the pace of that Mercedes. Kevin Magnussen knocked out, as well as Hülkenberg, Fiat, Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi, the Alfa Romeos, not looking good around the Suzuka circuit. We move on to Q2. The form continues, second and third for us. Verstappen topping the session this time, and the Ferraris are dropping down. You can see Valtteri Bottas gets knocked out along with Butler, Ricardo Albon and George Russell also knocked out. Stroll getting through ahead of Bottas. So Stroll, the faster of the Mercedes drivers, he is on fire around this Japanese circuit. But anyway, we move on to Q3, and a bit of a missed apex there through turn 3, and in fact all of the left-handers in this section it seems, but as long as you can sort of keep the pace up and keep it flowing, it didn't really cost us too much time. Big aggression through the first Degner, kind of unsettled the car through the second one, so potentially lost a bit of time there, but the lap is coming together okay so far, and now through the hairpin, taking a wide angle, missing the apex a little bit, but not really a big deal through that corner, and just not getting the front end turned in for the exit of Spoon, and now into the heavy braking of the chicane, getting that just about right and accelerating towards the line. And where will we qualify for the Japanese Grand Prix?
You've just put in the fastest lap. Good job.
It's the fastest lap so far, but we'll have to wait and see.
This light rain is going to be with us for a while now. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the
And
moment.
that's raining for our second lap, and that is opportunity gone. You can see we're still top of the leaderboard.
Confirmed. We'll receive you at the end of this lap.
So pole position is looking good. I had no idea this rain was coming. I didn't actually look at the radar, and there was no weather on, no rain on the forecast. But as we come in to the box, you'll see as we get pushed back into the garage, it will be
Excellent lap. We're really pleased.
pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix, and that came out of nowhere.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three. The scientist, Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
And it looks like the rain may have caught a few people out. Sergio PEREZ down in 10th position, Lukas WEBER in 8th, Lewis Hamilton not having a good time of things behind Gasly in the Haas. He definitely should have out-qualified him. So yeah, very mixed up order, but we do get the pole ahead of Verstappen and Leclerc, so let's get into the race.
And a very warm welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix, an event that has decided a driver's championship 11 times over the years and has hosted some very memorable races as well. Who can forget Kimi Raikkonen's win from 17th on the grid in 2005, or Kamui Kobayashi's incredible drive to a podium in 2012. A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles, and it's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 racetrack. The drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula One calendar. And keep an eye out for overtakes going into the final chicane. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about the scientist. They come into this race with a healthy championship lead. I don't want to say the title race is over, but surely it's going to take something special or catastrophic to change the outcome at this point.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, Crofty. Yes, it looks like a big lead, but all it takes is a locked brake into turn 1, a sticky wheel nut in the pit stop, and that could all get turned on its head. You can never discount one more sting in the tail.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. The scientist lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Gasly, Lewis Hamilton, and Weber, Stroll, Perez, Butler, and Daniel Ricciardo. Leclerc, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Russell, Kevin Magnussen, and Hülkenberg, KVYAT, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Valtteri Bottas. Verstappen and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, a podium result could be difficult to achieve this race, so let's focus on getting a high points finish.
I mean, we're starting on pole, but anyway, you do you, Jeff. But anyway, one stop from the soft tyre to the mediums seems to be the way. Kind of unusual for the 100% race to be a one stop, but apparently we've got some pretty decent tyre wear, it seems. So the one stop, it is no weather to interfere, which is nice. So let's just get into it as we get ready to go to the 5 red lights. Lights are out and we're underway for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a good start by Vettel, and he's going to draw alongside as we head into the first corner. Norris has a little look on the outside, nothing to do there. Vettel slows down, he gets turned around slightly by Norris, and that's front wing damage for Sebastian Vettel at the start of this race. An absolute disaster for the Ferrari driver. The end plate missing off of the left hand side there, you can see, and that will be very disappointing after a great qualifying effort. But that is very unfortunate. He actually didn't qualify in second. Just noticing now, he was down the order slightly, but some grid penalties elevated him there. It was Verstappen who qualified in second. But anyway, that is a disaster at the start of this race for Sebastian Vettel. But he still finds himself
Good from the start.
in third. But as Jeff says there, we are looking good, and we've held our pole position just about ahead of Lando Norris, who went sweeping around the outside. And it was a brilliant move, just a slight misjudgment from Vettel, I think, and he washed out just slightly wide, and similar to what Charles Leclerc did in the real-life Japanese Grand Prix in 2019. And we'll go back and look at a slow-motion replay of what happened into the first corner. You can see we're almost 3 wide. Norris backs out of it though, not wanting to make it 3 wide into the first corner. So Vettel's a little bit pinched in, but we leave him space. Norris goes sweeping around the outside, takes more speed into the corner than we do, and turns in across Vettel slightly, but Vettel was already there. This is back in the pack, on board with Max Verstappen, the man who was meant to start in second position, getting barged out the way by, I think that's Valtteri Bottas on the right-hand side in the Mercedes. So the Red Bull and the Mercedes battling away side by side through the first and middle sector now. And this is crazy that this has gone on for so long. The Alfa Romeo is ahead, battling side by side as well. So there's a lot of squabbling mid-pack, and this is slightly being helped by the damage of Vettel, and he is sort of holding up this entire train. More contact happening between Verstappen and Bottas going on board, with Bottas now around the outside of the hairpin. They're still side by side, as are the Alfa Romeos, and I think they're about to get it sorted out, but Bottas and Verstappen still side by side as we head towards Spoon. This is almost the entire first lap now. Bottas and Verstappen side by side. Surely Verstappen can get it through on the inside here, and he does just that and gets ahead of Valtteri Bottas, one of the Williams cars looking on. Right behind, we go on board with Daniil KVYAT, and he is losing a bunch of time in a straight line, and oh, that was very, very awkward with the Red Bull there. So yeah, absolutely no space being given, but he gets squeezed out in the Toro Rosso, continuing to struggle in this season. Unfortunate for them at their engine supplier's home Grand Prix, obviously the Honda Power unit, but yeah, disappointing for Toro Rosso. Very, very slow in a straight line. Now Leclerc is around in this race, in contact with Sergio Perez in the Ferrari. Damage for both of them. We'll go on board with Leclerc to get a replay, but that is huge in the championship. Both drivers and constructors try to overtake the McLaren of Lukas WEBER. Comes back on the track right in front of Sergio Perez, and that has all just gone wrong. And that is exactly like Alex Albon's crash last year. That's Kevin Magnussen on the left on that occasion, and it is an identical incident. Alex Albon coming back on the track right in front of Devon Butler, and you can just see it is an identical incident. Gets squeezed to the inside, makes contact, slides sideways, comes back on contact with another car. It is uncanny how similar those two incidents are. We'll go with a couple of other angles to see exactly what happened. Perez was well alongside, not Perez, Leclerc was well alongside, and just got it wrong down the inside. The pressure of losing the championship getting to him a bit, and he just misjudged that. There was space on the inside given by Lukas WEBER, but he just didn't really take full advantage of it, and he didn't quite get the nose turned in. Lance Stroll did a very good job to avoid any contact there, and we go on board with Sergio Perez to see exactly what he saw, and oh, so unlucky for Perez. But that's both Ferraris now with damage in this race. I believe Vettel has already made a pit stop, but we go back on board with myself, and now Pierre Gasly in the Haas is putting pressure on. So he has come alive in this race, and the other drivers around him have all sort of fallen away. Lando Norris, I'm not sure what happened to him, but he's fallen back a little bit. So it is just between myself and Pierre Gasly in this race, and I did not expect to be fighting away with the Hasses, but that's what's happened in this race. Gasly down the inside, we sweep around and retake the position around the outside of the first corner and maintain first place, and he really only caught up because I was saving fuel in lean mix, and then I kind of forgot to bump the engine mode back up. I was wondering why I was going so slowly for a while, and I think we do eventually get a move on, but yeah, that was a bit of a wake-up call when Gasly caught up to me, and you can see trying to push the limits now.
We're leading our teammate by 41.2 seconds. They're on fresh softs. The time last lap was a 1 minute 37.3.
So Leclerc is now limited to the two-stop. He's made a pit stop onto another set of soft tyres now, 40 seconds behind it. It'll be a long, long road to recovery for Charles Leclerc in this run. We run wide though through the end of the first sector, and we have lost a bunch of time. Luckily by that point we had a bit of a lead, but that has all just diminished in the blink of an eye there. But thankfully we were able to save it. You can see on board with Norris there. He did actually back off as he caught up, and Gasly not able to take the advantage there. But that was a lucky escape, and very lucky that we'd stretched away a bit by then. And really that was just a bit of a clumsy mistake more than anything else. But we move on to our pit stop window, just making it in to the pit lane. And this will be our one and only stop, or scheduled stop I should say, onto the medium tyres. Who's to say what happens later in the race. But in we come for the mediums.
Release.
And we get underway, and hopefully we'll emerge in some clean air. I can hear another car coming, but they should be well clear. That was Vettel going past, who has already made an earlier stop after the damage.
Stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
On the first lap, so piles of clean air around us, so we should be able to push on for the rest of this race now.
Okay, gap ahead is 18.3 seconds.
And as we move on, we do get out of pit. We do get out ahead of Pierre Gasly as he exits pit lane, and we continue.
Gasly is behind you. They're on fresh mediums.
And yeah, he's on the medium tyres going to the end of the race. We continue on and gain a few more positions as more cars go into the pit lane, and eventually we will find our way up back into the lead of the Grand Prix. So all signs looking good for us. We've also got the fastest lap at the moment. We'll see if that continues as we run a little bit wide through the first corner.
You are in first position, front of the pack. Norris is behind you. Okay, the gap behind is 2.9 seconds.
So a few seconds back to Lando Norris in this one, so we can just sort of push on and see what we can achieve. That was very close to the pit wall there, millimeters away, but we do manage to avoid it and put a lap on one of the Toro Rossos there. So yeah, really not a good day for one of the home teams effectively. But oh, we've got an engine blow up for Lewis Hamilton in the Red Bull, and well, that's just been a summary of his entire season with Red Bull. It really has not gone well for him. He went there looking for a championship fight.
Position, front of the pack. Norris behind. The gap behind us is 9.9 seconds. They're on old mediums. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. 15 laps still remaining.
But yeah, any hope of a championship fight has gone up in smoke this season, just like his car. So unfortunate there for Lewis Hamilton. But we're catching up to a few more lapped cars up here, and we're going to send one down the inside of the Alfa Romeo there, and just about get through very sneakily there. And hopefully the other car of Daniil KVYAT can get out the way as well, and he does stay to the left hand side quite slow there, and we make our way past. So no trouble for us there. So aggressively getting through the lap traffic a little bit there through the chicane, but we get away with no incidents and can continue on in this one. But we've got a decent gap still to the cars behind,
12 laps to go.
and not long left to go now in this race. So let's just continue to push on and hope that nothing
Safety
can
car deployed. The safety car has been deployed.
hope that nothing interrupts us. But we get a mechanical failure for Pierre Gasly, and it brings out the safety car in this race. He pulls off on the right hand side of the screen there, and
Roger that. Soft tyres at the next pit stop.
I figured why not have a bit of fun in this race. We've got a massive lead in the championship. Leclerc's having a bad day, so we might as well go for the fastest lap
Exit now.
with a set of soft tyres. What I didn't realise though is how much time I would lose in the pit lane. So we've lost the lead, we've lost second place, and there is Leclerc. We've lost third place, and that is not what I anticipated. But anyway, we do eventually catch the train. So right now it is a McLaren 1-2 and a Racing Point 3-4 with Charles Leclerc right in front of us as we get back underway for green flag racing, and Leclerc already looking racy among the cars ahead. The McLaren's battling away through the first corner side by side, but they go back to single file on the exit, and we try to follow through with Charles Leclerc, but just getting a lot of understeer through these corners and just not driving very well at this point in the race. But as long as we can close up again by the time we get to an overtaking opportunity, we should be okay. But we send one down the inside of Leclerc into the hairpin, and we just about get a stop before we slam into the back of the McLaren, and we do squeeze past and up onto the podium, demoting Charles Leclerc down the order. And it is Lando Norris up next. Can we make a move into Spoon? Not going to happen. So we just need to sit behind, see if we can get a good run, take a wide line, but that was a little bit wider than what I was intending. Charles Leclerc right on our gearbox now, but I don't think he's going to get close enough. But as we head towards the chicane, we're going to go down the inside of Lando Norris, and we get the move done side by side through the left-hander, and we sweep around the outside and take second position. Now it is just Lukas WEBER in front of us, as Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris battle away side by side behind us. Leclerc down the inside and gets the move done on Lando Norris, and we'll see if we can do the same to Lukas WEBER in a few corners time. So we just need to try and sit close behind him, but a mistake there, and Leclerc's immediately alongside us and battling away. We're going to squeeze him out roughly there, and I'm sure he does not appreciate that. But we move on, we go round the outside of Lukas WEBER into the first corner. That was a nice move round the outside, and we take that position.
1.6 seconds.
And just to add to that, we get the fastest lap, as you just saw there. But not too much to commentate on after that. Charles Leclerc does find his way up into second place. Max Verstappen finds his way up into third. So a 1-2 from McLaren has quickly gone to no cars on the podium. So really unfortunate for McLaren. They were looking very solid, but we defend from Charles Leclerc slightly into the chicane, run a little bit deep, but it's not going to matter because it is actually the final lap of the race, and we're going to come across the line to win the Japanese Grand Prix.
Great job, you've done everything we wanted today.
A victory for Racing Point, and the team will certainly be celebrating tonight. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Racing Point's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the veterans of the sport. They're making their way out to the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
So there you go, it's another 1-2 for the Racing Point team, and with that we do get enough points to clinch the Constructors Championship. So it is a great episode for the team there.
So let's review the updated driver standings. The scientist increases their championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. With that result, the title is secure, and it's Racing Point who've claimed the honours. Their days of struggling in the midfield now seem a distant memory. They're a giant in this sport now, and truly a force to be reckoned with. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So there you go, that brings... no wait, I'm not up to that part yet. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy race. Charles Leclerc, a monstrous drive to come back through the field after the spin and the damage. So yeah, craziness throughout there for him. But I don't know what the error was about. The highlights seem to be working. But anyway, it all went wrong for Vettel right at the start after starting on the front row. Lando Norris was running well, obviously, in second, and then fell away right at the end. So disappointing for him, and the same can be said for his teammate Lukas WEBER, and Max Verstappen managed to steal a podium in the closing laps. But I can't believe Charles Leclerc managed to come back all the way to second place. That's absolutely insane. That is all the damage limitation he could have wanted in this one. If he didn't have to spin, I think he would have given us a good run for our money in this race. So a shame we couldn't see that battle play out on track, but that's just the way it goes. He made the mistake. So yeah, anyway, it was a fun race though, all in all, and there was obviously that incident with Leclerc that yeah, just sort of ruined that part of it. But anyway, he'll move on from that. He's still in championship contention. He will fall back a little bit compared to us, but he's still well within reach. And we've got a few circuits coming up that I'm not confident about. Mexico, I think, will be fine, but USA, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, I think he may have the edge. It took me that long to think of a simple word. He may have the edge around those circuits. So yeah, it's the championship fight definitely isn't over yet.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. Well, looks like your luck has changed. Things went a lot better than last weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, last weekend obviously we had the damage, but we kept it clean this time and got the win.
It's safe to say you're smashing everyone's expectations, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as I've said before, this car, it's surprising everyone.
Looking like a winner has emerged in the championship. Is it in the bag?
I wouldn't say that. There's still a long way to go. Leclerc is very good and he'll come back from this.
You had a close battle today, didn't you?
Yeah, it was very close in the end, but we came out on top, luckily.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thanks, Claire. Alright, so that brings the Japanese Grand Prix weekend to a close. We did get the fastest lap in the end, as I may or may not have mentioned, and we actually draw a level with Leclerc in the rivalry, so really starting to pull that back. But he was leading by a considerable amount for a while there. But it looks like we've got things back under control and back in our favour. But there it is, the Constructors Championship.
Just wanted to say congrats on the podium. It's thoroughly deserved. We were sweating those last few laps on the pit wall, but you brought it home.
Looks like Lukas also has an upcoming historical event in his calendar. If you decide to take him on, it might help you get some coverage and get people talking about you a bit more.
Yeah. A lot of fun, that race, but I'm not going to do the Invitational this time. Anyway, as for the upgrades, we've got some resource points, not a whole heap, but we already have an upgrade coming for
if it were me, this is probably what I'd invest in.
The next round. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I may go for that major upgrade in the top right, just because it's the only one sort of blocking that ultimate upgrade. There's no way we can get that by the end of the season, I don't think. But anyway, doesn't matter. We will aim for it nonetheless. There's a lot of ultimate upgrades on the left side of the engine as well to get to. So still plenty of work to do on this car. But anyway, that is all we really can do at this point. So let's just get into the next round. And I will see you next time for the Mexican Grand Prix. Thank you and goodbye.
Are you alright? Engine off, engine off.